For those of you who watched since the election results, did you not watch the videos where I warned you that MAGA is gonna get impatient and not want to wait until January 21st? So, 1 Nephi, chapter 17. We'll start in verse 19. Now it came to pass that I, Nephi, was exceedingly sensitive snowflaked because of the hardness of his brothers' hearts. And now when they saw that I began to be sorrowful, they were rejoicing, glad in their hearts. They had a spiritual witness feeling that what they were doing were true, insomuch that they did rejoice over me, saying, We know that thou could not construct a ship, for we know that ye were lacking in judgment, wherefore thou canst not accomplish so great a work. And thou art like unto our father, led away by the foolish imaginations of his heart. Yea, he hath led us out of the land of... Why didn't they just say, no, we're not going? Bleep you, we're staying here. They had all the gold and silver left behind. They didn't have to... Not literal history. And we have wandered in the wilderness for these many years, and our women have toiled. I mean, seriously, did you just... What? The woman you chose were the ones also joining you in the mockery and the rebellion. I mean, seriously, you should have told them, hey, we've got all this gold and silver back at home, but they did that after the... Evil is stupid. Being big with child. You're looking big today. And they have borne children in the wilderness, and suffered all things, save it were death. Isn't pregnancy just like death? And it would have been better that they had died before they came out of Jerusalem than to have suffered these afflictions. Oh yes. Blame the Exodus on pregnancy. Because they would never have had those kinds of sufferings had they been in the city. Behold, these many years we have suffered in the wilderness, which time we might have enjoyed our possessions in the land of our inheritance. Yea, and we might have been happy. Eternal rebellion is life eternal. Or everlasting rebellion is life eternal. What is it again? It's smile. And so spiritual mindedness is life eternal. So I would have to think about that. And we know that the people who were in the land of Jerusalem were a righteous people. For they kept the statutes and judgments of the Lord, and all his commandments according to the law of Moses. Why didn't you footnote it, guys? Why didn't you footnote it? Deuteronomy chapter 5. I see for verse 28a, Deuteronomy 8:3. I see a bunch of Exoduses, which of course Nephi's going to talk about the Exodus. No duh. Wherefore we know that they were a righteous people, and our Father hath judged them. Because, yeah, that's what Matthew chapter 7 said in the brass plates. Judge not, lest ye be judged. And then it ended and went to the next chapter. And hath led us away, because we would hearken unto his words. Yea, and our brother is like unto him. After this manner of language did my brethren murmur and complain against us. So yeah, it's not a surprise that Nephi would then go and talk about the Exodus, because they're on an Exodus. And the Book of Mormon starts us off in 23rd September 2017. You didn't do the research on that? You haven't been following my videos? So let's see, verse 5. And so they get to the promised land. They built the boat. What a shocker. And the ark landed on the Danite Mount Ephraim. 28th, right? Yeah, guess what kinds of videos we're doing all this month, guys? Don't think you can skip videos. Apparently the thumbs downer skipped the 1830 Book of Mormon deleted video. What's up with that? I mean, did you get called into a meeting for the first presidency today? You put the thumbs down for the first one this morning. Did you just take the rest of the day off? Did you have to narc on me to Nelson so you missed it? You'll get to it later after the meeting? Dear God, what a bunch of dumbasses. Yeah, 28th, which is 27th of Kislev. So yeah, this picture will be in there. I've written it down to put them all in the videos for you, so that you can be reminded, so that you'll understand the context of the videos that I'm doing for you. So 2 Nephi chapter 5, Lehi's finished with the blessings, he dies, and Laman and Lemuel coup the government, rig the election, use AI. Nephi secedes from the nation. Because he knows that even though he was pardoned by Lehi, they're still going to murder him. I warned Biden, but he was compromised. They used his son against him. I warned him. He needed to go right to the Attorney General to say, I'm being extorted. They're telling me how to run my office. And then apparently he did, and Merrick Garland said, well, yeah, they got me too. So both lame duck presidents, while MAGA ran roughshod over them. Oh dear God, we're all doomed. And so, yeah, there's another exodus with the threat of murder. And so the tents, did journey in the wilderness for many days. It only takes 2 days from Utah, and an extra day if you're from the West Coast trying to come up to join us. Just to let you know in advance. I've already got it all mapped out a long time ago. I'm ready. God, What does it take to fulfill prophecy and revelation? Just the final four, that's it. And the first two is not up to me. I'm waiting on the last two. I'm all ready to go. Dear God. Smelling the heroin again. Dear God. It's getting worse. MAGA can't wait. Has to be now. Seriously, even Trump won't wait. Fine, we have to wait for the confirmations. Oh, dear God, that smell is getting awful. I was forced to have an unwanted education on drugs in Gail Miller's concentration camp of hell in 2022. As I learned immediately that I have adverse physical effects to secondhand drug smoke. Whether it's heroin, especially if it's heroin, or the meth that you don't smell. I'm well aware of its presence by my body's reaction to the secondhand smoke, so that I know somebody's doing it in my presence. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right, jovial mocking laughter. Nephi has to flee. His brothers want to take away his agency and murder him and subject everybody else into prostitution and sex trafficking with tithing. Or you have Jacob doing his talk, which was technically the Nephites, not the Lamanites. Oh my God. Which is weird because I think it's Hugh Nibley, who apparently is illiterate, because he's trying to claim that the Lamanites picked up a few extra wives there on the frankincense trail so that the Lamanites turned black. But Lehi just says, I give you a commandment that in the promised land, no polygamy. So Jacob says that, but he's condemning the Nephites, not the Lamanites. He says the Lamanites are more righteous than you because they're not doing it. Oh my hell. First, learn the word before you apologize for the word. It sure does help. Anyway. And so, notice the plagiarism that Nephi repeats in verse 10. In verse 10 of chapter 5 of 2 Nephi. Me. And we did observe to keep the judgments and the statutes and the commandments of the Lord in all things according to the law of Moses. So the Lamanites claimed that they were keeping the commandments according to the law of Moses. And then Nephi has to flee for his life and take those who will come with him because the church doesn't fall and Trump takes over. God, we're all doomed. And so they get to Zion. And they call it the people of Nephi, and thus Nephi is the land of Zion. Nephi is the Christ symbol here. Nephi, the land of Nephi, is Zion. So thus the Exodus is to Zion. And thus, why they specifically say, and keep the commandments of the Lord in all things according to the law of Moses. And there's the temple of Zion in verse 16, Mountain City. Talk to your bishop today about making reservations. It's not how it's going to be done. The first two have to happen. Then the word will go out throughout the world. Then you go and talk to your bishop. And no more will it be about pornography. This is the law of the Jews, Deuteronomy chapter 5. This is written by the Qumran community. This is the oldest document of it. Thus it was written then. We also know it was post-Babylonian time when it was written because of a certain anachronism that's here. Because there was no Sabbath day prior to the creation of it by Babylon. Thus, you cannot impose a Sabbath day prior to Babylon. But Genesis, it has the Sabbath day. Let me repeat it for you. Maybe I should talk slow. There was no Sabbath day prior to the creation of it by Babylon. Just, what does it take to wipe the memories of Christians to reboot the system with a Jewish program? Dear God. Now you got MAGA is going to force the Christian Jewish 10 Commandments in our public school system. Because the Supreme Court didn't let them do it in 1900. Seriously. They wanted revenge on America. Denying them religious freedom. You got it in the First Amendment, you bastards. Do not take away the agency of others. You've already taken it away from the Jews. So, the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. At Sinai. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. The Lord talked with you face to face. And because of Constantine's first creed, creating Christianity, creating Jesus, and turning the Jewish scriptures into literal history, that has to be reinterpreted too. It's actually faces to faces, which is a weird thing, but there's some other problems that I'd have to go over. Hebrew translation from Paleo-Hebrew, not Biblical Hebrew, which is wrong because of the first creed of Christianity. In the mount, out of the midst of the fire, into the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to shew you the work of the Lord. Which is interesting because the author is not Moses. And he's talking about Moses, talking to the Lord. Which is hilarious because Moses is the Lord. For ye were afraid by reason of the fire. and went not up into the mount, saying. So yes, you have Mount Zion, putting the foot on the mountain, and you have the abomination of desolation with the fire. It is not literal history volcano. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. You didn't believe me, did you? From the great and abominable church, house of bondage, temple, prostitution, sex trafficking at BYUs, section 119. Hello, the abomination of desolation. This is where it all comes from, guys. We're talking about this all month long. Thou shalt have none other gods before the man like Moses. Deuteronomy 18, verse 15. The Jewish Christ. And so thus it's not Jesus. Obviously not Jesus, dear God. Thou shalt not make any graven image of Jesus and present it to a Jew at the Vatican Temple, of which your president had previously declared at Jerusalem, with the temple ruins in the background, with the Islamic abomination mosque on top of the ruins, and said that your Jesus is going to come and take possession of the land and the temple. Oh my God. Joseph Smith summed it up perfectly. All wrong, abominable, corrupt. Thou shalt not make any graven image or likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down to them. Because obviously you got to make things that will have images. You know, all these women who are obsessed with phallic symbol images. Seriously, the feminist movement were so offended by buildings and structures and objects that were phallus-shaped. Kind of have to. Even in plumbing. You have male adapter and female adapter in order to connect them, and that's where oh my hell, chill, relax, quit hating on men. We did nothing wrong. That's the commandment. Don't worship them. Don't believe that they have powers to possess people with. That's idol worship. It is not the object itself. Thus, porn is not the problem. Having sex with a temple prostitute is the problem. Especially when you have to pay for her. Section 119. And so visiting the iniquities upon the fathers and the children and the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. And no, this does not mean that men will be punished for Adam's sins as well as your children will be punished for yours. You misinterpreted that. It's about consequences. Parents teach the children. And if the parents teach the children wrong, the children grow up wrong. And then they teach their children wrong, and so on to the third and the fourth generation. Not complicated. showing mercy to them that love me and keep my commandments. And so, yeah, love is the overriding thing for this. I'm sure you know that scripture, whether or not you know where it comes from. Thou shalt not take the name Emmanuel in vain, though they use Yahweh here. And so many people make the boo-boo of saying, oh, you can't say God, you're taking the name of the Lord in vain. God is a title, 1. 2, God is not Lord. 3, you do know it's Yahweh, right? The Jewish God, who, according to the name Ishmael, is the name of Yahweh, the shortened version, prior to his new name Yahweh in Genesis chapter 2 verse 4, after completing the creation of being born. But remember, not one translation, multiple. And so thus they are the same person. It's just whether you want to shorten it or whether you want to talk about the completion guy or the one who was given the commandment to do the thing guy. It's just like Jacob or Israel. Which one do you use? Well, it depends on the context of what you're talking about. And so, no, dear God, wipe Christianity from your brain. It is screwing you up. It is making you Laman and Lemuels. For the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Yeah, you won't go to Zion. If you don't believe, why are you there? Because apparently you want to be like Laman and Lemuel and take over control. Look what it's done to the United States of America. We're about to be destroyed before 250 years. So that on the anniversary of the Illuminati, we rise up with a new world order after destroying Christianity on their 1700th anniversary. Isn't that interesting? Like I said, nobody's going to talk about it in Christianity. Not the Pope, nobody. I'm willing to bet you. Just like the church did not want to talk about the bicentennial of the second vision for 2023. You went, they didn't talk about that in 2023. Yeah, no, duh. I did every single video, every single day, for the whole year, before the October conference in 2022. Nobody listens, nobody believes, everybody gets offended that they're evil, and they blame me. It's all 12, keep the Sabbath day holy. It just says keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it. But again, that's a translation thing. This is English, not the original Hebrew. I'm sure Kadesh is in the Hebrew. Do we really want to look it up? We're only at 20 minutes. My goodness, we're almost done with this video. Oh my God. Okay, verse 12. Westminster, Leningrad, Codex. Yep, Kadesh. How did I know? So yeah, that's the Babylonian tell right there that the Qumran community threw in. As the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day we're completely paranoid because we turned the calendar into an idol god to fear in violation of the one that we just gave you at the beginning. Them. They did not learn. In it shalt thou not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So understand, this is Roman period time when this was written, and Romans had slaves. So yeah, if you're going to turn this literal history and blame Moses for slavery, oops, somebody made a boo-boo. Remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God, I thought it was Moses, brought thee out thence through a mighty hand, by a stretched out arm. Therefore the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. So this is, it's interesting because verse 8 or chapter 18 verse 15 was put after chapter 5, because Deuteronomy 18:15 is a prophecy, and thus they're saying that Moses is not a real person of history. There was the David-Moses dynasty of Egypt, but it is only being used in the context to prophesy of the future man like Moses. And so you technically have to read and understand Deuteronomy 18:15 first before you then get to the law to understand what they're talking about here. Because the Lord of the Sabbath, yeah, this year, the Exodus tabernacles for the house of Israel was on Sabbath to Sabbath. I already did that, been there, done that. No Exodus yet, because we got this month to go. So yeah, I'm infuriated today. Pisses me off when people try to murder me. And my government won't do anything to help protect me. The police won't protect and serve. What is it on Transformers? Punish and enslave. Did you not read that? It's when he goes into the dump yard or whatever, and the other car becomes a cop car, and then it's driving through looking for him, and he thinks it's the cops, and hey officer, and the cop tries to run him down, and then you see him to punish and enslave. Happy time. Mom! Get their hands off my bush. Apparently, the newest one is coming out on DVD this month. Transformers 1. Anyway. Megan Fox, wasn't it? And so apparently she didn't agree with the contract or whatever for number 2, and so they had to trash talk her about leaving him or something like that. But they should have kept the blonde. I mean, smart, beautiful, and witty. What was up with that? She was perfect. Don't talk to me, criminal. I ate the whole plate. God, this day is almost done. Oh, right. I had the preview. Oh, my God. Gotta add the two videos together. Why didn't you guys tell me? It's all honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long in the land. Thou shalt not kill. Don't commit adultery. And fornication is having sex with the Greek temple prostitutes. Neither shalt thou steal. Don't bear false witness against thy neighbor. Neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife. Neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house. See, and that's where the Jesus guy says that whoso looketh upon a woman to lust after her, that's what he's talking about. Don't covet the wife either. And everybody thinks it's a new commandment. Oh, yeah, we're replacing and destroying the 10 Commandments. It's the higher law of Jesus for sex trafficking and prostitution. No! So, there it is. And so, yeah, all of the scriptures have to do with each other. So the 10 Commandments is supposed to be kept, not supposed to be violated. Mormons are not supposed to worship Jesus. You're not supposed to have Jesus idol statues and believe that he's real. You just have to get the right feeling. And you will feel his blessings upon you as you are distracted away from the crimes being committed upon you, and that you then become an enemy against others to enforce those crimes and sins on other people, to take away other people's agency. Because if you don't understand that adultery is only wife sex, you then start saying, oh, well, you can't go to second base. That's a sin. And you don't care about translation from the Greek, and so you just make up your own definition of words to fit your agenda and call fornication having sex with virgins, or getting to second base with virgins, anything with virgins. No, it's women who are prostituted at the temple. That's fornication, pornication. That's why I say it. You're supposed to be watching on a regular basis so that you understand what I'm talking about. Evangelicals screwed it all up. They got pissed being denied forcing Christianity upon the rest of the heathen nation. And so they went on a full-on idol worshiping spree, saying this is evil, this is good, this is porn. They created the word with a current definition. The Greeks never had pornography as a word. They had porn because of prostitute, because of the temple women who were prostituted. Men paid or gave food and drink offerings to have sex with the women who worked at the temple. That's the abomination of desolation that the Greeks did to the Jerusalem temple. And yet, if you're a Christian and you refuse to delete the program, it will screw you up and you will be an enemy to other people. As Nelson and Oakes especially tell you, stay away from porn because it's evil. they're violating the commandment not to bow down to idols. It's not just reverence, it's also fear. To believe that an object can possess the power of Satan and bestow it on you is idol worship. And that's the commandment. Don't do it. And Oaks, by saying that young girls are porn, is promoting idol worship. And so you don't understand that it's about a man has a wife. Do not impregnate her if she's not yours. You are sowing tares in another man's wife who's trying to produce fruit or wheat. You do understand the analogy is accurate? Seed planted, producing the result, fruit. That's why they liken the word unto a seed. Precepts. We know Oakes's precepts are idol worship. We know Nelson is abominable for saying Jesus is going to come and occupy Jerusalem and rule from it. These are basic things that you just simply had to run the test for, to judge them as good or bad, right or wrong. When you run the test, this church fails, and fails miserably. But Mormons won't run the test because the prophets told them not to. Yeah, no duh. They told you to get a spiritual witness feeling. And yet they claim that everything is literal history. And if it's literal history, it's physically real. And if it's physically real, you use science, not spiritual witness feelings. And this is all physically real as prophecy and revelation. And all but the final four have happened for the religion. We know the government. It's going to happen. They've already got the first two. Religion is behind. Supposedly this year. You know, you're not supposed to bear false witness of Jesus. You're not supposed to say that your neighbor is practicing idol worship when it's you who is believing that idols have power. And I've seen it. When new technologies come out, Mormons are on the forefront to condemn them, just like evangelicals are. And that's Sports Illustrated's becoming porn. Your TV is an idol god. And you get Mormons who go around demanding that other Mormons and other people obey the 10 Commandments according to their false interpretation. And in so doing, you are violating the 10 Commandments. When you tell people that they need Jesus, you violated the 10 Commandments. When you kill somebody because they didn't keep their temple covenants, you violated the 10 Commandments. But my wife is wicked. My husband was wicked. Stop it. You can't steal. This is taking away agency that they're telling you here. Life, liberty, property. You can't do it. And yet Mormons do it. You won't stop. You're just like Laman and Lemuel that I read. We keep the commandments according to the law of Moses. No, you don't. Don't bear false witness to me. Wrecker, wisp, boom, bah. Bugs Bunny, rah, rah, rah. Associated memory, remember? So, that's it for this video. Don't fall for the con. Let's check the church news since it's 4:20. Because the leaders of the church purposely are commanding the attacks on me so that they can post stuff in the church news again. Nothing new on top. Okay, here we have Light the World launches in Kansas City, Missouri. Oh, I'm gonna give this amount of money to the church. Oh, here it is. Here it is. They snuck in a new one because it wasn't here this morning. I checked. The church apparently on the 1st. Oh my hell, this is the 4th. Oh my hell. They're way behind in posting these. No wonder they were attacking me. They had some backlog stuff to put up and they were waiting until I'm destroyed. And it's the Dominican Republic of the Congo. Oh my hell. On the 1st, the church promotes marriage with the Congan government that Mormons were involved with the coup. Oh my hell. And then the crop walk in St. George. Yeah, they're trying to take credit as a church. Annual St. George Interfaith Crop Walk raises over $10,000 to help fight poverty. That's not even going to pay for the corporate board of the crop walk people. God. Don't give to charities. The government is responsible. And the government set up food banks and the SNAP program and SSI. If the government's not doing their job, complain to your government leaders. Don't allow these other people to profit off of charity. So here we have how indexing 1 million names became a joyous experience for a Latter-day Saint woman who's near death. See, this is what the church wants of you women. They don't want you to get an education. They don't want you to go on a mission. They don't want you to have a job and a career. You need to be like this perfect example of motherhood. Barefoot, pregnant, in the kitchen, spending her spare time between the baby crying, doing indexing for the church. Taking away the agency of those who are dead and extorting Mormons to pay up to save them. So yeah, that's the new stuff they snuck in that's post-dated with the pre-dating.